Islam in Malta, although only recently been introduced in a sizable number in the later half of the 20th century, has had a historical profound impact upon the country, especially its language and agriculture, as a consequence of previous centuries of Islam control and presence of its island. Today, the main organization represented in Malta are the Libyan. Islam is, to be, Islam is believed to have been introduced to Malta when the North African Ag- Aghlabids, first led by Hafal Ahmed, later by Suwada ed Muhammad, conquered the island from the Byzantines after arriving from Sicily in 870. However, it has been argued that the island were occupied by Muslims earlier in the 9th century or even the 8th century. The Aghlabids established their capital in Mdina, the old Roman fortification, later to become Fort St. Angelo, was also extended. According to the Arab chronicler and geographer, following the Muslim attack and conquest, Malta was practically uninhabited until it was recolonized by the Muslims from Sicily in 1048-1049, or possibly several decades earlier. Malta returned to Christian European rule with Norman conquest in 1091. It was, along with Noto on the southern tip of Sicily, the last Arab stronghold in the region to fall to the Christians. An Arab administration was initially kept in place, and Muslims were allowed to practice their religion freely until the 13th century. The Normans allowed the Imam to remain in the power with understanding that would pay an annual tribute to them in mules, horses, and munitions. As a result of its favorable environment, Muslims continued to demographically and economically dominate Malta for at least another 150 years after the Christian conquest. In 1122, Malta experienced a Muslim uprising, and in 1127, Roger II of Sicily reconquered the island. Even in 1175, Bachar, Bishop of Strasbourg, an envy of Frederick Holy Roman Empire, had impression, based upon his brief visit to Malta, that it was exclusively or mainly inhabited by Muslims. In 1224, Frederick sent an expedition against Malta to establish royal control and prevent its Muslim population from helping a Muslim rebellion in the Kingdom of Sicily. The conquest of the Normans would lead to the gradual and substantial firm establishment of the Roman Catholicism in Malta, after previous respective Eastern Orthodox and Islamic domination. According to a report in 1240-1241 by Gilberto Abad, who was royal governor of Frederick II of Sicily during the genocide period of the country. In that year, the island of Malta and Gozo had 836 Muslim families, 250 Christian families, and 33 Jewish. In 1266, Malta turned over in Feldom to Charles of Anjou, brother of France's King Louis IX, who retained in ownership until 1283. During the Charles rule, religious coexistence became precarious in Malta, since he had genuine intolerance of religions other than Roman Catholicism. However, Malta's links with African and still remained strong until the beginning of the Spanish rule, 1283. By the end of the 15th century, all Maltese Muslims would be forced to convert to Christianity and had to find ways to disguise their identities. In 2003, the estimated amount of Muslims in Malta is 3,000. Approximately 2,250 were foreigners and the rest were 600 naturalized citizens. And approximately 150 were native-born Maltese. Most notable, Mario Farrugia Borg, who is part of the Personality Secretary Prime Minister Joseph Muscat and was the first Maltese public office to take an oath on the Quran and obtain the Quran Local Council in 1998. By 2010, there was approximately 6,000 Muslims in Malta. Most were Sunni and foreigners. There is a mosque called Islamic Center of Paolo in Paolo, founded in 1978 by the World Islamic Society, an adjoining Muslim school called the Mariam at Batol School. The biggest impact in Malta, leaving a legacy of Islam, is the language of Malta, and most places the names, except for Malta and Gozo, are Arabic, as are most surnames: Borg, Kassar, Jakudi, Farrugia, Fenek, Micallef, Mifsud, and Moz and Zamet. It has been argued that the survival of the Maltese language, as opposed to the extinction of the Arabic in Sicily, is probably due to the evidential large-scale conversion to Christianity of the proportional large Maltese Muslim population. The Muslims also introduced innovative and skillful irrigation techniques such as water wheeling, known as Nora, all of which made Malta more fertile. They also introduced sweet pastries, spices, and new crops, including citrus, figs, and almond, as well as the cultivation and cotton plant, which was mainstay of the Maltese economy in several countries. Later stages of the rule of John of Night, the distinctive landscape and terrace fields is the result of introduced ancient Arab methods. In modern times, Maltese unique culture has enabled to serve as Europe's bridge to the Arab culture in economic North Africa.